Hello, I'm Larry Johnson, and welcome again to this new episode, brought to you courtesy of the International Unity Club and TAS. This partnership is designed to promote dialogue, understanding between the people of the United States and the people of Russia. And today, we're following up on our conversations regarding cybersecurity, internet, social media. Sergei Boyarsky. So are you a native of St. Petersburg? Oh, okay. I've been to St. Petersburg once. Great city. I was there, fortunately, during the White Nights in June. You don't get to sleep much. The sun never goes down. When did you assume your position in the Duma in charge of, if you will, social media and information, cybersecurity?
Well, I've been working on this committee for many years. I was deputy chairman, the first deputy chairman, and I've been leading this committee 1 year ago in early December, since early December.
What do you see as your biggest challenge right now with that committee?
Today, we are at the forefront of fighting against scammers that have flooded our country. It's been 2 years in a row since we have been under a concentrated and concerted attack from call centers located in Ukraine. They are attacking individuals, businesses, various enterprises, and they are applying various scenarios. And unfortunately, they're achieving serious results. And the damage is estimated at hundreds of billions of rubles stolen from our citizens. These are the numbers that end up in the statistics because many people are too shy to admit that they have been scammed. Mm-hmm. And at the beginning of this year, we were working with legislative support of the fight against this absolute evil. And we are continuing our effort, and there will be another second big package of bills to be submitted by the government of the Russian Federation, and we are going to test each of the provisions, each norm for viability and practicality. And I think that it is task number one for our committee.
What kind of scams are carried out against the Russian people?
Unfortunately, personal data of many of us end up in the hands of evildoers, and those scammers are acting in an organized way. They are attacking companies, they are changing photos in messengers, for example, and they write to individual users on behalf of the company's, their company's executive, who says, "I trust only you. All my deputies have dirty hands. Let's actually expose them. And for this, you need to go to a bank. You need to credit your money to a special account. An FSB officer will contact you, and the central bank will contact you." It is one of hundreds of scenarios. Unfortunately, some people suffered when a scammer contacted them on my behalf, using my name, and not on my behalf, of course. And sometimes people use fear. They claim that someone has had his or her money transferred to Ukraine, which is liable, and they will be liable, and there will be a criminal punishment. And as a result, they say that you have to transfer all your money to a safe account. And as a result, people send all their money, and they even take loans. We have developed the so-called cooling period. When you apply for a loan, you will have to wait for about 4 hours or even 2 days because scammers manipulate individual people instantly. After 48 hours, a victim may talk to his or her family. And we also adopted the following procedure. When someone who is elderly, that person can appoint someone he or she trusts so that banks could contact those individuals, because it is more difficult to scam 2 people than 1. And we have put a cap on the number of SIM cards that an individual can hold. Currently, it is 20 SIM cards for Russian citizens and 10 for non-citizens, because we have data from the Ministry of Digitalization and Roskomnadzor Russian Supervision Committee, and sometimes there were precedents when one single individual had 2,000 SIM cards issued in his or her name. And actually, they are calling out people at random. And we have tools embedded in our criminal code, and actually it is now treated as a crime. There are the so-called droppers, those who provide their phones or their bank cards to withdraw money and to get cash. And such activities are subject to a serious punishment. And we see that these measures are starting to work. And the scammers were riding this wave, but now we managed to bring it down, especially when Roskomnadzor Russian Supervision Service made a decision to ban calls via Telegram and WhatsApp because these 2 foreign messengers were used for calling.
Yeah, actually, I've done some, this is a global phenomenon. I was doing some work for a bank in Panama, but I was in the United States, and they were processing payments for someone that claimed to be there like a computer repair service. And as I investigated it, discovered it was a guy from India who lived on Long Island in New York City, but he had a call center back in Delhi or Mumbai, one or the other. And they went on the dark web, and they were able to target people who were 65 years of age or older, so old people like me. And they'd call them up and say, oh, we're with Microsoft, and your computer's infected. And so let us help you get it cleaned up. And so that they'd get control of the computer, and then more often than not, these people were spending more than $1,000 to get control of their computer back. I mean, it's a very sophisticated operation. So it doesn't surprise me that they've tried to do that in Russia as well. I know I'm on Telegram, and there's frequently on my, I have @sonar21.com, there's an @sonar21 chat. And on that chat, there's frequently, I'll see somebody pop up, it's got my picture, and it's offering people this great chance to invest in cryptocurrency or something. So I have to always go in and delete it and ban them. So, yeah, you're you're fighting an uphill battle. I can concede that. What about increasing access to social media as opposed to decreasing access to social media? And what I mean by that is, like right now, to try to access YouTube in Russia, you usually have to go through a VPN. You can't just do it off of the regular internet. There's another service, it's called BitChute, BITCHUTE. I know the owner of that. He's an older gentleman that lives in New York City, but he's been committed to creating a platform that's not censored. Because in like YouTube, I've been censored off of YouTube. I was banned. I said, what for? Oh, we can't tell you. So that's frustrating. As you are trying to help set policy for Russia, what are your views towards how open can the social media be for the Russian people?
You know, when the special military operation was launched, or even prior to the time when there was the COVID-19 pandemic, there were attempts to have normal and open relations with all platforms, including foreign ones. And for that purpose, we amended our legislation and we had that law on localization, or the so-called landing law, so that our colleagues could open up their rep offices here in Russia, take certain steps that were pretty easy to become a part of the Russian information and internet space. Unfortunately, prior to the events I mentioned, we did not see any desire or readiness for such integration. They were always aloof, and they failed to comply with elementary requirements. For example, to delete content prohibited in the Russian Federation, including death groups, suicide groups, everything that relates to drug addiction, pedophilia, and everything else, everything that is categorically prohibited here. But unfortunately, it was spread and distributed, this information was spread and distributed across these platforms. And therefore, they refused to localize. And actually, all countries worldwide do it. If you use personal data of Russian citizens, your servers have to be located in the Russian Federation. This requirement was ignored. We can say that the Russian Federation has developed its digital segment very well. It is very robust. Until we had our national messenger developed, which is our recent and serious step. We have search engines, video hostings. Yes, maybe it is hosting. It is not that good as YouTube, but it is being developed and it is evolving. It is a kind of a video player, but it needs to be adjusted to be user-friendly so that users could take a conscious decision and give preference to our platform. And therefore, we are going parallel. Max, our new messenger, has been a very serious step towards ensuring security and safety of communication, whether business or private, ensure safety of forwarding files, etc., because it is fully compliant with the highest security standards that were defined when we launched the project. Max, as a messenger, will develop to be integrated with government services, or the so-called public services. You know that we have a public service portal that is in high demand, and digitalized documents of our citizens are stored there. This is the thing of the past, when we had to stand in line to get a certificate from a government agency or other document. You can use your mobile phone or tablet to do that. And Max, the new messenger, will be integrated with those systems, and using secure channels, you could sign documents electronically, you could download or upload documents. WhatsApp and Telegram are not banned in Russia, but the national messenger service, Max, does not only have the same functions, they also have channels, and one can read news updates and can visit channels kept open by bloggers, but it is a full-blooded alternative alternative to Telegram and WhatsApp, and it is up to an individual user to select which messenger to choose. But this wave of scammers and of scamming forced the regulator to actually degrade voice calls. We were not able to do that because we did not have our own messenger, and we would have divested a huge population of Russia of the opportunity of voice calls. But now we do have our own messenger that is safe, and there are people who ensure security of communication 24/7. There is a certain a special button there, and hundreds of thousands of suspicious calls were blocked by Max. Of course, scammers are also trying to use Max, but they do not succeed much there because the platform Max is interested in safety and security of users as opposed to WhatsApp or Telegram. We were never able to have them negotiate with us to fight against scammers. They were not interested in it. What they're
fight against what?
interested in scammers.
Oh, scammers. Got it. Okay.
Because this flow of lies and deceit was overwhelming, and therefore our task is to strengthen our digital sovereignty so that everyone has a choice which product to use, either to trust national products or bright or bright foreign messengers.
So can people in the West download that as an app and use it?
No, not at the moment. We are only covering our near abroad, the so-called near abroad, those countries that are our neighbors, close neighbors. But speaking about extending our coverage, we would immediately face security issues. For example, if you go to Telegram, you can use any SIM card and you can use any login name. Max uses only Russian-issued SIM cards, which is extremely important. We understand who is the end user. And of course, the integration with public services gives some additional confidence that the user, the person who is using that service, is not afraid to identify himself.
So what do you recommend, though, because as Russia with China and BRICS in general, as a new international economic and political order is being created, creating a system where you can have, if you will, secure communication, not just within Russia, but Russia and China, Russia and India, Russia and South Africa, Russia, Brazil, Russia, Iran. Do you envision that Max is going to fill out into that space, or is there something else that has to be created?
I think that will strengthen our own national sovereignty. And we want to provide trusted and safe products to our citizens to use on a daily basis. China has WeChat for the basis, for the purposes. It is similar to Max, but it is much older. And it is user-friendly in China because Chinese people can order food, book tickets, book taxis, etc. He has lots and lots of functions. This is the path that Max is going to take. And speaking about its international integration or expansion of our geographic footprint is perhaps not our priority because we were trying to meet the needs of our big country and a big number of people.
Right, but wouldn't you concede that, Russia is breaking free from the Western hegemony, the Western, monopoly, the control of the dollar, and in moving into this multipolar world? Shouldn't there be a platform that addresses the needs of a multipolar world that can be secure, it can minimize the chance for the scammers, but because I can see when they go to a BRICS meeting, there's always the exchange of information, the Chinese with the Russians with the Indians, with the Brazilians, South Africans, Indonesians, Iranians. Is that just going to be left to someone like Telegram or WhatsApp, or is there any thought given to how do we as BRICS countries come up with something that could be relevant to BRICS as a whole?
Well, the attitude to WhatsApp and Telegram is changing in the world. You can see that those countries that see a threat to their digital sovereignty are limiting these platforms. These platforms are, we can say that these platforms do have a hegemony, like Facebook or other platforms.
Yeah.
We have Yandex, we have Wiki of Kontakte in Russian, we have Sberbank, which is the engine in terms of new technologies, cutting-edge technologies. And generally speaking, everything that has happened and that aggressive sanctions policy has given a push to our IT market. We have a saying that in English there is a similar equivalent, every cloud has a silver lining.
Right.
And it is unlikely that we would have had such motivation to saturate our domestic market with domestic products. And it relates not only to day-to-day life or anything else, but it relates to business, to our companies, to the critical infrastructure of this country. And by the way, we adopted a law on a critical information infrastructure, and we oblige the owners of sensitive infrastructure, vulnerable infrastructure, to use domestic solutions from the pool of products that has become the basis of our digital security.
Well, I'm fully supportive of the need to get rid of Meta, Facebook, Instagram. I think those are so totally corrupted, and if you will, under the control of Western intelligence, that they should have no place overseas. But I do see that this, because what I see is taking place, and I'm not sure most people even in Russia appreciate it. The international economic order that was created in the wake of the Great Patriotic War, the creation of the International Monetary Fund, the World Bank, setting up the United Nations, that's an old world order now. And there's something new coming into being. And it's one in which Russia and China are really taking the lead in separating themselves from the West. Not trying to have a confrontation, but they also recognize you can no longer hold us hostage, hold Russia hostage to the West. It was like you mentioned earlier, SWIFT, separating from SWIFT. SWIFT is an ancient technology. It's not a digital technology. It's not blockchain. It doesn't have a security with it. I think, again, I don't claim to have the technical expertise, but in my mind I can say there's got to be a way you can implement blockchain with a social media platform that serves the needs of maybe one of the advantage of being a member of BRICS is you get access to this system. Because the thing a lot of people don't appreciate with blockchain is it does help go after scammers and criminals, because it's an audit trail. You can follow back to who's doing what. So it's a more powerful tool from a security standpoint. Do you think that's something that Russia will try to take the lead on, or do you think that that's going to have to come from China or someone else?
I think that all countries will be dealing with that, and no one is going to step back and lose a leadership role. It is unlikely that there would be an obvious leader. You know, our major digital corporations have 3 weeks as their planning horizon. In 3 weeks, the world will change, and we need to make new decisions. And in this respect, we cannot lose this race, the race for artificial intelligence and the race for implementing technologies in the military sphere, because AI is primarily a military technology. All other applications of artificial intelligence are secondary. Actually, we did the right thing when we switched all those who work in the budget sector to the Mir card, Russian bank card. And then the rest of the population did that. Not everyone understood the need for that solution, but that enabled us to continue to own our purses, because otherwise they would have banned banking services for us. And our digital services are not banned because we have our own solutions. We know how internet was deactivated in certain countries when they wanted to bring people to this, drive people to the streets. And our internet is protected. No one can lock it down from overseas. When even if someone will try to lock down or switch off internet, or our banks and all necessary services will be available, and we conduct such drills constantly. And digital ruble, you know that we have already started testing it. It is not a classical cryptocurrency. We are trying to look at regulating cryptocurrencies from different perspectives, but perhaps it is an issue that is not particularly relevant today. We'll deal with it in the future. But that range of tools that our business and individuals will have will ensure more stability and sustainability of our system in the face of external influence.
So which AI platforms do you allow in Russia? Are all of them allowed across the board? So you've got Grok, you've got DeepSeek, ChatGPT, Perplexity. You know, they're cropping up all over. From your standpoint as a policymaker, do you see the need to get behind one system or to encourage the development of a system unique for Russia?
We do not have any prohibited or banned systems. Everyone can use any system. Unfortunately, what we've been observing is that there are certain extremes in using such systems to optimize a process. Very sensitive documents may actually be uploaded, or data or images. There were some very bad precedents that I am reluctant even to talk about openly, to voice them. But this irresponsible attitude to technologies would lead to their regulation sooner or later. We cannot stand behind. Of course, we need to develop our own segment. We have Sber, we have Yandex for the purpose, and they're investing significant funds to develop their own solutions. But at the same time, we understand that excessive regulation of this sphere can put a stopper on the progress. And I'd like to reiterate it, we cannot afford to lose this race. Therefore, we need to give maximum freedom to our development developers. But at the same time, certain categories of people who work, among other things, for the benefit of the Russian Federation, who serve in various agencies and structures, we need to have a clear message given to them that it is not admissible to have ChatGPT used to process documents. We know who the beneficiary of that would be, the United States.
There still is a lot of what I'll call political bias and propaganda present in the AI engines. I'll just give you a very quick example. A friend of mine who's now deceased, he's the one that gave Dick Cheney, Vice President Dick Cheney, his first job in Washington, D.C. in 1972. And my friend's name was Bruce Bradley. And so I was using Grok, which is the new Elon Musk engine, and I asked, tell me what you know about Bruce Bradley, and it went through this whole thing with Bruce. And then it said at the end, and he was friends with Scott Ritter. Now, I know Scott as well. I knew Bruce longer than Scott. And I never heard Bruce talk about Scott. So I sent Scott a note, said, do you know Bruce Bradley? He goes, who? And so then I went back to the search engine. I said, hey, you're wrong. Scott Ritter never knew Bruce Bradley. And it went, oh, okay, we just sort of assumed. I'm sitting there shocked, watching, so you can have this kind of interaction with this artificial intelligence creature where at least it admitted it was wrong. I thought, well, that's sort of refreshing, but it's also troubling that it was initially putting out information as fact when it was complete garbage. So, I think finding a way that Russian sources, because I think largely Russian sources right now are largely excluded from most of these AI search engines. And I don't know if you have any magic powers, but anything you can do to help expand that and get Russian sources into these search engines, I think is important.
I can, speaking about foreign platforms, I can tell you that foreign platforms sometimes work with our information sources even better than domestic ones. So I cannot fully agree with you.
Okay.
And, and the language models have these tasks, assignments that they need to learn and get smarter. And inquiries about the Russian segment are processed, and the output is of good quality. You can analyze some very sensitive and amazing things, starting from legislation and court precedents. And these technologies have an amazing speed. But at the same time, I'd agree with you that we are going to be dependent on this, crutch. And our children often do homework, not by themselves, but using technologies that are not making them smarter. Artificial intelligence is replacing human intelligence, and it is a very dangerous threat, very dangerous. And in this respect, we need to raise new generations that know what digital hygiene is, what a safe behavior on social platforms is, and they can use such technologies positively without replacing their own knowledge and competences. Thus, they would be helpless and empty.
A wise approach. Sergey, listen, our time is up. I appreciate you so much taking time to sit down with me. Thank you for this conversation. It was a pleasure.